want the best of it's Brands by Integra. If you want the best of it's Brands by Integra. I see.
Okay, here we go. Brands by Integra Podcast. Today, we have Nate Brown, who is our Chief Growth Officer. He is based in Illinois. He handles all of our operations out there as well. And Nate's been a Century 21 leader for many years. So, Nate, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. It's good to be on your podcast, Jim, and spend a little time with you. So I have been in the real estate industry for over 20 years now. I cut my teeth leasing apartments for a few years right out of college, and then quickly decided that I wanted to get my real estate license and joined Century 21 in 2005. I started off as a part-time agent and worked my way up to full-time status and got to experience all sorts of fun things along the way, including the housing crash of 2009, and learned a lot through all of that. Had a number of great years as a full-time sales agent, broker, and was asked at one point along the way if I wanted to take on more of a management leadership role. So I got my managing broker's license in about halfway through my career, 2017 roughly, and helped to co-manage an office out here in the suburbs of Chicago. And then the Century 21 that I was with previously was a very large and growing company. And the owner of that company said, hey, why don't you help me do more recruiting and growth for more offices? And so by the end of my time with them, I was helping them to recruit and grow in Illinois, Indiana, and Florida. And at some point, Jim and I met almost 3 years ago, and I was really excited about his model and what he was doing to grow a footprint that really was almost across the country. So we aligned on a lot of different things, and it made a lot of sense for me to make the jump over to Integra Northeast, and here we are today.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, you brought us Illinois. We had nothing in that marketplace. We had been working on a small acquisition up in McHenry. Really something that, would have been a stretch otherwise. And we met kind of at that perfect timing. And we were able to put something together. And then you were able to get Naperville and most recently an acquisition that you have coming up. And we haven't announced it yet, though, right? So
we haven't announced it. So as long as this doesn't air for another 2 days, we'll be fine. So I think
okay.
We can go ahead.
Yeah. So recently we just had an acquisition in Schaumburg, Illinois. We get all of our ducks in a row there. It's going to happen in 2 days, but it'll probably happen after or before this podcast runs. But tell us how do you go about finding companies that want to affiliate with Century 21 Integra Northeast?
Great question. So I approach recruiting, acquisition, mergers, similarly to how I approached the business when I was selling full time. I tell agents when I'm coaching and training them, you should have 10 different lines in the water at any given time, and odds are one of those is gonna get a nibble, and you can start having some conversations with people. So it's not a one size fits all approach. Some of the opportunities come to us from our existing agents or managers that are working in a particular market, and they know somebody that's looking to make a move or thinking about making a move. We just added at the beginning of this year a big team in Buffalo, and that came about because one of the owners that we had purchased her company a few years ago. She said, hey, I think this person is going to make a move, and she's interested in talking to you. So we get opportunities that way. We get opportunities where we just pick up the phone, just like agents pick up the phone and call buyers and sellers. We're picking up the phone and we're calling broker owners in all of our markets, and we're starting a conversation with them about what it would look like if they were to make a move. We're seeing a lot of broker owners start to retire, obviously, baby boomers, and they have no exit strategy whatsoever. Their plan is basically to tell the agents they're shutting down shop and they're going to turn off the lights and lock the door, and the agents are going to scatter. Maybe they got a friend in that same market and they're going to refer all the agents to. And but they're not going to make any money. They're not going to they've built this business for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they're not going to make a cent because they're just gonna walk away. And so those are great people to have conversations with, because we can plug them into our model. We can, give them a fair price for their brokerage. We can offer them revenue share. We can offer them overrides on their existing agents. And we've had a lot of success doing that. And what ends up happening is they come in, they're super happy with our model. The broker owner maybe was selling and goes back to selling full time. They're making more money now than they were when they were running their company. And then they're getting the word out. They're helping us recruit, they're helping us grow. And so you get a lot of that organic growth that starts happening after you do those acquisitions. And I think, having been with you now for almost 3 years, we got a pretty good track record of there not being a ton of breakage after we do these acquisitions, because we don't overpromise and underdeliver. We shoot pretty
No,
straight.
that's true.
We shoot pretty straight with people about what the business model is. And, there's a number of times where, a lot of times where they just ran things very, very differently. And you and I have looked at a lot of P&L statements,
Yeah,
and
that's for
some
sure.
of them are pretty ugly. And, we're pretty straight up like, hey, we're going to need to make a few changes here in order to have a profitable company. But that doesn't mean that we're going to sacrifice service and support to the agents.
Right. And I think that's like the best point, right? I mean, I think you do a great job of that because we've talked about this over and over again. Um, the challenge that we have as an organization is we're transparent, right? The best thing about our organization is we're transparent. The toughest challenge for us is that we're transparent. Nobody believes us. Not nobody, but the reality is we say it like it is, and they're so accustomed to being told untruths about the business from their ownership group that it's been very difficult for us sometimes in the beginning to have that conversation with agents and just show them the numbers, right? And so, yeah, the where that helps us out tremendously is when an agent is a business person, or when an owner is a business person. But I have to be honest. Like sometimes we'll deal with owners, and this, and agents, and they just don't. It just doesn't seem to register. They're not agents that work here, luckily, and they're not owners that come in with us or stay, luckily. There's just a huge population of people in this industry that either don't understand the numbers or choose not to want to,
Well,
work
I mean,
within a 100%.
unfortunately, if you're not straight up and transparent with your agents, there's this idea that brokerage owners are just making money hand over fist in the real estate game. And, how many acquisitions have we done where people basically just give us the company because they're losing money and they'd be happy to not have to deal with it anymore, and they just hand it to us. I mean, I won't name names, but I think there was one acquisition that you did where we offered them something. The guy crossed off the number and just said, you can have it for free.
Yeah,
Like I feel bad taking any money for this, because I know what the challenges are from a profitability standpoint. And I know that you guys are going to put in a lot of work. So that doesn't happen as much as we would like, where they
doesn't
crossed
happen
off the
often,
number.
but
But
yeah.
uh, if you truly understand real estate brokerage, it is a very, very low margin business. The way that most brokerage owners make money is on ancillary services, mortgage, title, insurance, those types of things. In some cases, the brokerage is a loss leader because at this point, the industry has evolved and changed to where agents demand higher splits, and the competition is just so fierce in terms of commission structure. And so one of the great things about us is we offer the best of both worlds. You get a brand name with whether it's our Century 21 offices and companies or Coldwell Banker offices. You get a brand name and you get a very competitive and high commission splits and structure on top of having a full value package. So, a lot of times we might be up against some of these discount brokers, won't name names, and agents want us to match those plans, and it doesn't make any sense for us, right? Like we're going
No.
to lose money in those situations. But then when you start breaking it down, you go, you're accepting a commission plan and structure that doesn't offer any sort of support and services. Agents,
No, and
it,
what they don't realize is that those plans that they bring us, it's actually a bad value for them. They're actually getting more by working with us than they're getting from those, kind of, I don't know. They're not, I mean, I don't want to be like derogatory, but like more of like almost like a bait and switch or a smoke and mirrors type plan where there's a lot of fees and there's a lot of things. So we've created a menu here. You could pick that plan almost, like you could pick a plan better than that here if you want to do your business, if you want to conduct your business that same way, paying a monthly fee, paying a desk fee, paying for your transaction fees, having a cap, having, a downline, a revenue share, like we have all that. Um, but at the end of the day, I do think that some agents will chase that, from store to store to store to store, kind of like looking for that cheapest
yep.
price, right? So do you
If
want to drive a do you want to drive a, an old, you know, shitbox, or do you want to drive a Mercedes? I think that it's the same thing when you're negotiating commissions with a seller or buyer, I mean,
it,
everything's negotiable in this industry, whether we're working with the consumer or we're working with the agents. And at the end of the day, it's a math problem. And, math problems, you can only work within the 100% of what you're working with. And if people understand that, and so many people do, we have so many great people here, some great business people in this company, and that's a tribute to leadership like you and others here that have attracted and continued to retain great leaders in this industry. So I mean, I think that's something that we do really well.
Yeah, and I think if an agent joins you because of money, they're going to leave you because of money, and there's always going to be that segment of agents that are just chasing a higher commission split or structure, and that's not the best recruits
No,
because I want people that are going to take a look at our value package and appreciate everything that we offer to them. Agents care about a few things, and if you get those few things right, they'll probably be your agents for life. One of them is obviously don't mess up their commissions when you pay them. The second thing is pick up the phone when they call you and when they need help and support. And that's a big issue in our industry right now is you have agents who have gone to some of these business models where maybe they're cloud-based, maybe they're, the latest shiny object and penny on the market, and they've got one manager that's overseeing hundreds of agents, and they're not returning the phone calls. They're not getting their questions answered. This is a 7 day a week business, whether we like it or not. It's 7 days a week. I fielded multiple phone calls over this past weekend from agents that I manage, answering their questions, helping them to put deals together. And that's just the reality of our business. So pick up the phone, agents call. And then the other thing is Agents want to be recognized. They want to be recognized. They want to be promoted. And we do a pretty good job of that, both as on the Century 21 level as well as the company level, recognizing agents for their achievements. And whether that's an experienced agent that, sold 25 million last year, or that's a new up and comer that maybe put their first listing on the market or closed their first transaction, we recognize agents on a regular basis. And if you do those things really well, then the commission split and structure is going to become a secondary conversation. Agents are going to
Right.
stay with you and be
Still
loyal to
needs
you.
to be there,
Still
but
needs to be there.
because you do this and this well, and we do that last piece, recognition, I will say thank you to you. I think that you've helped improve that here, which, I think that we did an okay job with it, but I think we do a much better job. And I think a lot of that is some of the ideas that
Yeah,
you brought.
part of that, part of the reason why I'm fairly passionate about that is because I was a full-time sales, agent for many years, and so I understand what it's like to how difficult it is to put deals together. And when you start seeing agents be successful and start putting more and more deals together, like just a little bit of recognition can really, really go a long way into motivating them, encouraging them. I mean, just a simple post on social media that they can share with their client base can go a long way to helping them grow their business. So
Right.
I view our relationship with the agents as being a business partner with them. We are helping them grow their business. They're helping us grow our business overall. When you have a good business partnership going on, um, you'll find that your agents, and that going back to your original question, your agents become a fantastic source of recruiting and growth opportunities. We offer our agents revenue share. It's 1% of the gross commission as long as them and the recruited agent is with the company, which, as far as our industry is concerned, and we don't cap it. That's the other beautiful thing. 1% right off the top. And so many of our competitors, they have revenue share programs, but it's smoke and
They
mirrors,
max
right?
out. Yeah, and they max out, and there's a lot of carve outs, and they change the rules all the time. I can't tell you how many agents we've met with from other companies over the past 8 to 10 months that have said that their company changed their plan, added fees, etc. We haven't done any of that. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe we're missing something, but I don't think so. I think that we've been extremely consistent with what we do. We're consistent with product, consistent with locations, consistent with our approach to M&A, consistent with our approach to agent support, and we haven't really changed a heck of a lot as far as um, what we give for what we receive. We haven't really changed that, and I think that there's a lot of benefits to being the stable company in the marketplace, and I think that's helped us a lot in even in your market. I think that a lot of companies, I know in Massachusetts last year there was a big um, added fee to, per deal in a couple of the big companies. And I think we've seen that in Illinois. I think we've seen that in Florida. And, we're just, I mean, we're not going to, I would venture to say that we're probably not the company that's going to be banging your phone 7 times a day if you're an agent in the marketplace. Like, we're not going to beg you to come here, right? Like, that's just not our style. We're not hitting phones. I know our agents get hit like 7, 8 times a day. That's just not the way we do it. We actually don't want people that are just looking to be recruited and move around over and over and over again. We're looking for agents that want to be here for their career. Also understanding that sometimes this place could be a stepping stone for agents as well, and we're okay with that too. Um, because everybody's entitled to do what they want to do, whether that's own a brokerage or any of the things that is the next step in their path. We're okay with that as well. Um, but like you said earlier, the jumpers, hey, I'm going to jump over here for a sign-on bonus. I'm going to jump over here for a bigger split. I'm going to jump over here for this. One of the things that we didn't touch on though, Nate, is that our company offers leads at a very high rate. I know in Illinois, you're on the Flex program. I know that that's newer, And so what do agents think of that?
Well, the Zillow partnership has gone very well, in my opinion. So we are seeing we recently got on that program, and we now have probably about a dozen agents that have raised their hand. And there's a vetting process that has to happen. We don't take everybody onto those lead programs because in order to continue to receive those leads, we have to be converting and closing. But just in the past 2 weeks, I've seen more of those leads come in under contract, and we'll probably have a number of closings that are happening now in the next 30 days from that. So we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. It takes probably, I would say maybe 4 to 5 months to really ramp up those programs in some of our markets. But that's a great part of our value package. We have a leads department that works day in and day out to generate leads for our agents. And it's not just Zillow leads, it's leads from really all across the board. And some of those programs are great for a while and then they fall by the wayside and we move on to something else. But there are a segment of agents who are growing their businesses who need some sort of lead programs provided by their company, however that looks. And like I said before, having those 10 lines in the water to prospecting and growing your business is super important. One of
And
those lines or two of those lines is lead programs.
and none of those, and nobody's doing it, right? Why?
Right.
Because it's costly. Why? Because it requires management, and the brokers like the cloud brokerages and other brokerages that are offering these 100% plans and everything like that, they don't have the staffing to manage the program. They don't have the money to buy the leads. And so
Right.
it creates this um, like, listen, at the end of the day, if I wanted to, own a cloud brokerage, then I don't really care about how many houses they sell. I care about how many brokers they bring in, how many agents they bring in, how many monthly fees of $85 I can receive, and I'm Planet Fitness. You know what I mean?
And
So
that is the key right there. That is the key. That's the best comparison that I've seen between us and some of these other companies is that they're selling membership fees. It's like a gym membership. They're selling
right,
membership fees. The more agents they can get in, paying their monthly fees, and then paying their, few $100 a transaction or whatever it ends up being, what are they more invested in? Are they invested in those agents actually growing their businesses? Because here's the reality. We only get paid if deals close,
right.
right? They're getting
And
paid no matter what,
no matter what.
no
And
matter what.
here's the thing that kills me that I think that people don't do the math on is many of those agents will never hit that cap. So when you're looking at, the opportunity for an agent here versus an agent there or anywhere is a lot of these cap programs, a lot of these agents can't hit the cap. So, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, the average agent is going to sell roughly 2 million, maybe 2.5 million in sales volume because some people do this part-time, some people do this as an additional income, like a plus one income for the family. So I think the average in the country is probably even lower than 2.5 million in production. But
Much
the
lower,
reality
much
is
lower.
you can't hit a cap until you're doing about what 4 million in production. I would say about
Yeah.
four and
The
a
average
half
the
million in
average isn't
production.
yeah, when they put out those reports every year, I laugh because the averages in our industry, you'd be better off, going and flipping burgers, and make,
Yeah,
more money than what they're saying the averages are. Now, I think some of those stats are skewed
they're
because
skewed because of teams. They're skewed because of
yep,
people who just want to hang their license. I mean, we got a lot of people that work here that are flipping houses and different things like that. So like having a real estate license and attaching it to a brokerage doesn't mean you're going to be selling $4.5 million worth of real estate a year.
yep,
You could be you could be working a full-time job doing this part-time. You could be a second income for a family where, that extra 20, 30 grand a year is going to pay for your travel, whatever it is. Um, but do you want to be a recruiter or do you want to be a real estate agent, realtor who and I hate to use the word realtor because with everything that's associated with, I mean, just having a real estate license nowadays is is it's either a career or it's a sideline or it's an additional income or it's a hobby.
Which, yeah,
I mean,
which,
it's
the,
okay that it's a hobby too, by the way.
right,
Like real estate can be a hobby. Doctors can invest in real estate as a hobby. They don't need it. They just it's stock or it's real estate. For me, if I have an E-Trade account, it's a hobby. It's
right.
not I'm not actively I'm not an active participant in trading stocks. It's a hobby. It's something that I'm interested in. It's something I'd like to build some wealth with. Um, and it's the same for real estate for some people. So to have their license, I got people that call it say, I'm getting my license because I plan on buying a house. I mean, if you listen to
Right.
Michelle Furman's story, and she got her license because her mother wanted to buy a house. And now look at what she has grown that to.
Yeah. So don't ever turn those people away because you
Never.
don't know what's going to end up happening. I think one of the biggest differences, not for this point to be lost in our conversation, but I think one of the biggest differences in our company is that you have people in leadership positions who have done exactly what we are coaching and training and helping these agents do. I mean, one of the best stories I love when you tell it is how you cut your teeth in this business. How you, when you were in high school or right out of college or whatever the story is, you worked with your dad and you helped him to lease his apartments, and you learned
Yeah.
Spanish because you had a heavily Spanish speaking population that you were leasing apartments to. And it's like I tell that story in recruiting appointments because I think it's just so important in this industry to know who is it that's ultimately making the decisions about the company that you're hanging your license with. I have sat at the table of sellers. I have gone and shown a million properties to buyers on weekends. I understand what it takes to be successful in this business, just like you understand it because you've done it. We're not a bunch of suits sitting up in ivory towers giving people our opinions on what we think is going to make their businesses grow. We actually have done it ourselves. We are doing it. Wouldn't you rather be with a company that knows how to grow? Don't you think that that's going to be valuable to you as you're trying to grow your business as well? So I think that's one of the key parts of
With
our value package. And
without
maybe we don't
private
talk about
equity
it enough.
money, without
What's that?
private equity money,
No private
you
equity. And
know,
you know what?
like
But here's the thing. That's another point that I make for a variety of reasons. But the biggest one is no red tape. Jim
right.
D'Amico picks up his phone when an agent calls.
Yep.
Nate Brown picks up his phone when an agent calls. You don't have to go through some ridiculous, bureaucracy to get an answer to a question.
There's also I think the other thing too is with us that we make more I would say that our company is, we subscribe to logical thinking, which I think is important. I mean, as part of bigger brands and stuff like that. I mean, we see what it's like, right? Like you and I, we'd be like, we can't do what? That doesn't make any sense,
Right,
right? And how many times do we have to say, that doesn't make any sense?
right,
I would venture to say that there probably isn't an agent in this company that can legitimately say that something we told them or decided didn't make any sense. Like,
right.
if it doesn't make any sense, then it's probably something that didn't come from us because that's one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on is like that logical, practical, common sense style of leadership. I mean, style of, how we do business. It's like, yeah, well, actually, you know what? That this agent came up with this idea and we've been doing it this way for years, but you know what? Her idea actually makes sense. Let's look at that. Let's implement that. Let's pilot that. Let's try it. Let's see where it goes. And I think that that's what I love about the no red tape, right? We don't have to go to somebody and say, hey, we want to try this program. And then what happens is it over engineers the idea
Yep,
in the first place. And then somebody pipes in with, oh, but we could add this, so we could take away this. And then before you know it, it's not that idea anymore. Right. So, I
right.
mean, that's the stuff I love. That's the stuff. That's what I love. That's what I
Well,
get up in the morning for.
You're like me, where we like to be down in the trenches with the agents, roll up our
Yep.
sleeves, and we're not afraid to get down in the trenches. And I don't know if it's just because we come from blue collar towns like Boston and
Yeah.
Chicago, where that's just the mentality. My dad had a great saying. He'd tell me and my brother and sister. He said, "Hunger is a great motivator." So go out there and work, because because that's what you have to
Yeah.
do. And we take that philosophy into our offices with our agents. We roll up our sleeves. Whatever the work is that's required, we do it. There never should be a time in this company, and I've never heard it said, where you go to somebody with a question and they say, "Well, that's not my job. You're going to have to."
No.
It's like, you know what? I might not know the answer to that question, or maybe I can't solve that problem for you, but I'm going to get you to the right person that can do it. And
I
I think
was
that's something that agents really appreciate.
They do. I was laughing the other day because Rob and Michelle were away. I received an email that they were copied on, and it had to do with like an MLS address issue we had in one of the MLSs. Now, I happen to know that MLS well, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I logged in, I got the form, I printed the form, I filled it out, I sent it over, and MLS was like, "You're filling out MLS change forms? Aren't you too busy for that?" I'm like, "I'm not too busy for anything. Like, if it's got to get done, it's got to get done, right?" So
Right.
like, I'm 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 all about my time management and stuff like that. But I sit at my desk, I would say 90% of Monday through Fridays, and I am at the ready for the stuff that's going to happen. Now, you talked about the weekend, right? So this weekend, I was like assisting in assigning like 5 different leads that came in. I get text messages from all across the country. Do you have somebody that covers this territory? It's like it literally, it's all day, every day, and, I try not to get too involved. I want to send it to the relocation department, to Marsha and John, and usually that's what I'll do. But like at the same time, they're reaching out to me. They're not reaching out to our relocation division. So obviously, two things. They want to know that I want the business, or that I know that they're sending the business. And number two, that I appreciate it, right? So if I just say, go to refermyagent.com or whatever it is that we use, that's not going to register well, right? So I mean,
Right.
I think that there's something about um not so much about being available, but like caring, right? They always day one, people they don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. And so like that's just always been my approach. I mean,
Well,
it's
and
just
it's coming from a place of contribution. I think we do a good job of hiring people in our company who come from a place of contribution. I had a mentor tell me, in this business, there's givers and takers, and you want to align yourself and attract the givers. And the way that you do that is by acting the same way. I try to come from a place of contribution all the time, whether it's with our existing agents or whether it's with people that I'm trying to recruit. So, people that I'm trying to recruit, I will freely help them grow their businesses before they ever join us. Why? Because you have to prove yourself to people, number one. Number two, you need to make deposits into what we call the business relationship equity account. Deposits, deposits, deposits. Here's a piece of coaching and training that I gave to my own agents, thought it might help you out. Because a lot of the recruiting that takes place nowadays is people picking up the phone or blasting out a bunch of emails and talking about how great their company is and how great their splits are and how great. Well, that's all well and good. Well, how are you going to help me grow my business? What are you going to do and what are you going to provide to me? So, this notion that, I'm not going to share this information, until they join us, or there's some secret about how to be successful. There's no secrets on how to be successful in this business. It's doing the work. An agent can go on YouTube right now and they got all the free coaching and training they need to be $1 million agent.
right.
Rarely do people do that because they don't want to put in the work. So I believe, listen, the information is already out there. Maybe I can say it and package it in such a way that it actually gets through and registers and helps an agent. And that's what I'm going to do. And, I see you do the same thing. I see Rob do the same. I see everybody in our leadership comes from a place of contribution. How can I help you grow your business? Because I know ultimately at the end of the day, if I can help our existing agents or other agents that will join us grow their businesses, it's going to help grow the company.
People are watching, and that's the thing too, people are watching, and they watch what you do, not what you say. So I think that that's important too. I think that was a big learning experience for me personally going through 2009. I mean, I started this company in 1994, 95. And, I didn't have a lot of exposure to brokerage management. I had really no clue. My dad, who helped me every step of the way in my career, he wasn't a brokerage manager. He had sold a few properties, but he was a real estate owner, and that's really what he did. So when I get into this, I had some mentors, but nobody that really scaled, businesses. So um, that was one of the things that I figured out this last 10 years was, we changed a lot of things all the time back then. We were growing fast, and then we were dealing with acquisitions and new people coming to the company, and we had built this thing up pretty good. And I think we had 19 offices in 2008 and 2009. And when we came out of it in 2011 or 2010-ish, we only had 9 offices. And so looking forward to like future growth, my thought process changed, and the thought process was, um, we were more like that hardcore. We were cold calling and bringing people in based on split and that type of thing. And not to say that we're not ultra competitive now, but we're also more transparent. We're more like stabilized as far as programs go. We're not changing things all the time. We're not swapping out technology on an annual basis because of price or anything like that. I mean, we've been using some of our technology. I mean, Dotloop, for example, we've been a customer of Dotloop since 2010 and offering our agents free premier accounts since 2010. That's 16 years with one company. Um,
Well,
that's
and
commitment.
that speaks to not chasing the next shiny object,
Right.
right? Like
30 years with Century 21.
if
I
it
mean, we're
if
not chasing anything.
if
We've
it
been with
works,
Converse.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it
If it works, we
works
stay with it.
and the price is right, you've built a pretty efficient model, and we're very transparent with agents in terms of how the model works and what the structure is. We give a very high split, and the profit margins in this business are
Yeah, they're
quite
small. We got to do a lot of
so.
volume, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean, we don't really make a lot of money unless we're doing a lot of volume. Now, luckily, we're doing a decent amount of volume. That's not to say that in order for us to be even more competitive, we need more volume. So
exactly.
that's my whole strategy is, if we did $2.8 billion in sales, I think we need to do four. I think if we can get to 4 billion in sales, now the company becomes more efficient, more profitable, which is going to allow us to offer more to the agents. And that's more leads, more support, more marketing, more of the tools that they need to be more successful. I mean, that's basically how it works. And then once we get to 4, I'm sure we'll want to go to 6 or we'll want to go to 8,
and and
whatever the case
and
may
that's the
be.
mentality that agents should have, right? Like
That
when
is the
we do
mentality.
business planning and training with agents, we talk about setting goals, having a business plan. And the sad part about this business is 95% of agents do not have a written business plan. And
Right.
so we're ahead of 95% of the competition if we can get our agents to sit down and actually write a business plan.
Well,
And
now
so
we give everyone sponsored Chat GPT opportunity so
there you
they can
go.
actually get a business plan in less than 5 minutes. All they have to do
Exactly.
is tell Chat GPT what they want to accomplish, and it's all built for them.
Right.
I mean, these are things that now are so easy. Remember how much time we had to spend back in the day trying to come up with these things? I
Well, and
mean,
that's a whole nother podcast, but having a guy like Joe Perrant who's really dived deep into ChatGPT and AI, which is transforming not just our industry, but really every business in the world. And if agents aren't actively learning, participating, and using that technology, they're going to be left behind. I mean, this to me is very similar to how the internet was in 2000, right? When it really started taking off. this is the next revolution of that. And so the fact that we have people in our company that are investing time and energy into delivering that to agents speaks volumes. It speaks volumes to what we will do to help agents grow their businesses.
Cool. Well, I have to say this was great. I think we could go for another hour.
Or
So we'll have
two.
to have you back here, Nate, and do another podcast with you. But I want to thank you for your time today.
Absolutely.
And thanks for sharing all these great things that we do here and telling people more about Brands by Integra and the different things that we do, because I think the whole purpose of us, setting up this podcast is to really kind of reach out to all the people that are here first, right? Because we're really focused on the people that are part of our company, but also to message the general community of the industry to say, hey, this is what we do. We're transparent. We're talking about business. This is what we do.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thanks so much for your time. And, we'll have to get you back on here soon.
Sounds great. I appreciate it, Jim.
All right. Thank you. I don't